So I'm back. Good morning, my beautiful people. I'm gonna do a rune pull. Um, just had to get that off my chest about. I don't know why that bothers me so much. I don't often follow news. That's I think the thing that is most unique about this situation is that I don't follow a lot of it. I follow the Koberger thing because I think I've said this before. He was a student where I teach. We're not allowed to talk about it, but so that I follow that story, and I'm friends with Catherine, who is one of his professors. Um, I don't follow the news that much, but this story just really, really bothers me, and I hope justice is served. So anyway, I wanted to do a rune pull for today, and then meditate before I go to work at 8. So I'm gonna do that. I was just thinking, like, you know, the quality of people, right? Quality of people. I'm a very deep thinker. I think about things to, you know, so many different levels, right? But I just think about things a lot. And the people in my innermost circle are people who have a depth to them. And every once in a while I'm duped. Every once in a while, I'll let somebody in and I'm like, wow, that person really doesn't have depth. Like, they don't have depth. They can only really ever have conversations on the surface. And I don't know where I'm going with this. Because I was thinking about, like, how could, like, Kevin Franke be so duped for so long? But I think he had a pretty wife and he wanted to please her, and so he did anything he could to please her, and she was manipulative, and she knew how to work him, and that's how it happened. But there's people even in my life that are just shallow people who just don't have depth. And every once in a while, and this happened not too long ago, there was a person that I got really close to, and then I just realized that the person didn't have the ability or capacity for depth. And then I was like, it was on me for not noticing it, because they can't help that they don't have depth, right? Like, you can't tell somebody there's a deep hole if they don't know what a deep hole is, right? Like, that's just silly. So just to be more mindful of the people that I bring into the inner circle, inner sanctum. um because I do appreciate and value depth in people. And so the people who are nearest to me are people with depth. Anyway, I have some strange energy, spirit. What should I meditate on this morning? I don't know where that came from. It's one stone. You seem to want to come out. Eihwaz. So I'm gonna go think about Eihwaz, and I'll be right back. So Eihwaz means yew tree, and it's balance and enlightenment, death of a path, the world tree, wisdom of the path, trees connected to the underworld, strong, firm, and flexible, the past growing into the future, apples, which are the fruits of the dead, apples, which signify immortality, hidden secrets, deep knowledge, spiritual endurance, transition to a new life, and bravery will be needed. And I have no idea what that means for me today, although I do think it's interesting that it came up when I was just talking about, like, the depth of things, right? I think we all have relationships which are just very surface, like, hey, how you doing? That's great. I follow a lot of different YouTubers that I really, really enjoy, but it's just like, comments back and forth, but there's not a relationship there. There's not any depth there. And that's okay. That's the nature of that kind of a relationship. So that's not a problem. And then you have the people in your life that you're related to. So, whatever that is, like, I don't have much of my own family left, close to the family that I have. But most of my people have passed on. But I have, I have depth in the relationships and within my family. And then, and by extension too. So, then I think about people that I put in my personal life, people who, I like to hike with, and people who I like to camp with, and people who I like to um, uh, go to concerts with, people who I like to go to the ballet with, right? There are different people that I do different things with, mostly because Dave doesn't really do any of those things with me, and because he's not into that kind of stuff. So I have, different kinds of friends, but they're all varying levels of depth, right? And it's okay. It's not a criticism of them, nor is it a criticism of me. It's just that you kind of come to each person as they are, and what they bring to the table and what you bring to the table. But the relationships that I value the most are those that have some sort of depth to them, that where you can talk about things. And I was thinking about this yesterday because we always have Sunday dinner. And my older son, loves turkey. So we have Thanksgiving once a month. It's his favorite holiday. We have it once a month. And now he has a job. So he went to the store. He just got his license, right? He calls me from the store. He's like, Mom, they have turkeys. I'm like, that's great. He's like, I'm going to buy a turkey. I'm like, oh, okay. So we had big old turkey dinner last night. And then, it always shifts over to politics. And Dave talked with his uncle, and they have a very particular view of politics. Actually, the whole family does, and my family is the opposite. My family is on the opposite. Like, you could not get more polar opposites than Dave's family and my family when it comes to politics. Now, I don't belong to either of the major parties, so I don't really get into it, but I also don't like to listen to people talk about politics. So I will always get up. I will always get up, and I will always go on the porch. And I don't get mad. It's not a mad thing. I just like, oh, they're talking about politics. It's time for me to take my cup of tea outside and listen to birds. So, because they make a lot more sense to me. So, and we laugh about it. Dave will say, oh, I'm sorry I got into it, but I just had to talk to somebody about it. I'm like, that's no problem. That's fine. I don't stay around because I don't want to talk about it. I've worked in politics. I was an intern for Congress and Senate. It's all smoke and mirrors. All smoke and mirrors. So, I just don't, I can't get into it. I can't get excited about it. It doesn't, I don't want to talk about it. So, and I'm thinking about this year coming up, and just how many divisions will be made, and how many polarizations there will be, because people have, their person that they want to support, and, when you're not part of that dichotomy, right? When you're not part of that separation, when you're not part of either of the camps, you just look at the camps and you're like, there is more to life than this. There's more than this. There's, love and pursuits, and like, there's so much more than this. So I think in an election year, it just becomes taxing, especially for those who are poor, for those who are hungry, right? It doesn't matter who's sitting in the big seat. They're still hungry. They're still cold. They're still worried. They're still sad, So let's put our energy there. Do the things we can do to help others. So I think, I don't know what that has to do with anything, to be honest, but I just feel like, I like to have deep conversations. I don't get to have them that often. There's not really anybody around me that's really into the deep conversations that I'm into. So perhaps that is, I'm just feeling that void in my life, that I don't have a person to have deep conversations about things with. But then I think too, if I did, I probably wouldn't. I tend not to give my opinions. I tend to keep them in. So even if I had a person, what would I do with it? I don't know. Let's ask Spirit to speak through the cards and see what comes out. 3 passes. If you're new to the channel, everything happens in threes, because that's the Celtic way. Alright, these two came out together. I keep getting the gatekeeper. Watching the treasure. Treasure is building the hair, otherworld, shape-shifting, and fertility. Just watching the treasure. It's one of my favorite cards, because it means different things at different times, but there's a treasure building, just keep watching it. And it's linked to this ability to communicate with the other world, and, you know, to be part of both worlds, really, right? Not to just be part of this world, because this is just our meat suit, right? We're connected. We're all energetically connected. The other card that came out is another beautiful card. I don't get it that often. Heart Center, connection, love, and receiving. I think just a reminder to Spirit that you get to be, when you're not part of the battlefield, you get to be the nurse. I've always been, you know, interested in the Red Cross and the people that come in. One of the things I love about the Red Cross is they take no political opinions. They help everybody. It doesn't matter. They started as the Sanitary Commission during the American Civil War, and they helped sick people. You know, whatever side, it didn't matter. They helped both sides. And I feel like that's where I'm at. Help everybody. That's what Jesus wanted us to do. Help people. Help sick people. Help the poor. I might have to get a new box. This box is going wonky. So, I think just a reminder to focus on heart and not so much on my mind, right? All right, let's see what Shadows of Light has to say. I think it's tough in times when political energies are high, because we lose sight of light and love, right? We are, you know, some people are just so dogmatic and have to be right about everything. I used to be like that. When I was younger, I would fight you. I'd fight you. Not physically, but, you know, verbally, I would have to be right. Now, I was explaining this to my nephew the other week. I was like, I used to be like that. I used to have to be the right person. Now I don't care. Go ahead. You be right. It's not going to change my opinion. But in the grand scheme of things, it does matter. Right? 1, 2, 3. This guy came out together. Liberation. Cali Capolini. Hold my finger over there. Liberation. No idea. Challenge, integrity, unity, and integration. Again, I think this is just about, you know, accepting people where they are, accepting them for the views they have, and not always having to be right. I mean, and that probably has to do a little bit with my thoughts about the whole Frankie Hildebrand thing. So I have my opinions about it, but other people have their opinions too, and in the end, at the end of the day, like, it's not up to me to judge anybody, really. You know, that's up to God. I just hope that justice is served for the children. I think that's where I can rest comfortably. Is that I just hope that those children get justice, whatever that is. That the children are healing, and my concern is with them. And that they have advocates and voices. Oh, you didn't want to go through, did you? Well, you wanted to come out, so prosperity. They're all sticky. Okay, we had prosperity that kind of like popped out right away. And then we had these 3 that came out together. Understanding, inspiration, and divine love. Again, reminders that, you know, we're really here for love, right? We're here to love one another. Even people who are awful and do wrong things, we're here to spread light and love. We can't do that if we're being judgmental. And heal thyself. I think that a lot. Like, don't criticize others because nobody's house is perfect, right? We don't all take ownership of the things that we do wrong. We might pay lip service to it, but we don't maybe necessarily take ownership. So it's important to be gracious. It's important to be kind. So I'm going to go and think about this some more. Think about what Eihwaz is saying to me today. I am wishing you all the best in light and love. Be well. Bye-bye.